Welcome back to episode 345 of the Tallboy Radio podcast. And as we always say, who knows where it goes when the beer flows? Well, that beer is flowing in a very, very interesting direction. And it's brought with it, Gaza, 5 new countries who've tuned in. I don't know if you've seen on our feed. Honduras, Moldova, Cyprus, Sri Lanka, and Puerto Rico. Thank you very much for all joining us. So before we say hello to our guest, I need to say hello to the man who's honoured us with his presence. It was his birthday yesterday. He's turned, would you believe it, 53? Yes, you would. You'd probably say maybe a little older. And because there's no football, that's the reason why he's with us today. There you go. First day of the World Cup.
I know, evening in the world. Yeah, I am, for those that know me, I'm sort of sport mad, and, the World Cup is on. It's a rest day today, and it just so happens to be the day that we normally sort of record. So, I'm here. I'm looking forward to it. I say it's been sort of a week or so just because of the way that the World Cup matches have fallen and England playing. We are still in the World Cup. We hopefully have won it by the time this gets aired, and we will be World Cup champions. But we'll wait and see. You never know. But yeah, really looking forward to this, and it's always great when we have guests on. So looking forward to which direction it takes us.
Indeed. And when he says we, he means England, not Wales or America.
England.
For our guest. So, Amani, did you want to say hello and tell us a little bit about why we invited you on?
Yes. Hello. Thank you very much for having me, Beans and guys. I'm happy to be here. My name is Amani, based in the United States, Las Vegas. I work with music artists, fractional artist manager. I help them monetize and make more money. And I'm also a professional DJ that's DJed all over the world. I am a USA soccer fan, so I'm disappointed they lost. But, I'm rooting for England. I hope England gets there.
Yeah, well, I am as well as my second team. That's who I'm rooting for. But, if Wales can't do it, then I suppose they can. Actually, USA was my team before them. But unfortunately, like we discussed earlier, they went out to Belgium. So you've got many, many strings to your bow then, haven't you? As well as being a DJ, as well as lecturing at university. You've also written a book, which I have a copy of here on my Kindle. So we're going to get to all these things today. So obviously, for yourself, music is a bit of a passion. Did you want to tell us a little bit about really how you got involved in the world of music?
Music definitely is. I first started in junior high school or elementary school playing instruments. I grew up playing the saxophone. So I played the saxophone all the way through high school. And then when I got to college, that's when I started to learn and see DJs and see what they did and was just enthralled. I remember seeing Biz Markie, may he rest in peace, at a club in downtown Washington, D.C. That's where I'm from, and that's where I went to school, university. And that's what I said, I want to do what he does. It took me a long time to get the courage to go for it. But when I finally went for it, that's how I started my official music career. Along the way, I've written 2 books about the music business. I'm a professor at a university, and I speak and help out artists now.
Makes you sound pretty lazy.
I was going to say, there's not much to go at there, is there really? I mean, wow. I mean, talk about, I say a glittering ensemble of sort of activities, interests, passions, I suppose. Yeah, I mean, incredible, the sort of life, in a way, the way that life sort of takes you and stuff. I'm absolutely fascinated by sort of the DJ element in terms of sort of, how you go from almost just mixing a couple of tracks in your garage to sort of potentially being on stage in front of, thousands and playing music across the world sort of thing. So, I mean, maybe Beans will sort of focus on a couple of other elements, but that's the one for me really, is what that transition was like and how long it took you, and was there an element of luck involved in terms of who you met and who spoke? So again, just perhaps elaborate on that for myself and obviously our listeners out there.
Yeah. I started my DJ career. I was DJing in bars in front of like 5-10 people. I started from the bottom, and eventually through networking, through being a member of professional associations, I was able to kind of get some more corporate gigs. So corporate events, I do a lot of that. And then also networking with other DJs. And then I was able to open up, so do an opening set for some DJs at pretty big clubs. And then the club saw me and they're like, okay, we'd like for you to come on a Thursday. And that got to be my first really big official residency. And that would be in front of 250 people every Friday. And that's where I really cut my teeth, learned how to read a room, And then the corporate events continue to grow. So I would be playing in front of crowds like 5,000 people, corporate events. And so it's just continuing to network and grow and build. And that's what's taken my career very far.
Wow. I mean, incredible. And when you say sort of being able to read the room, do you go in with, I suppose, a planned set list, playlist, order of songs, and then how often does that get sort of changed just because you read in the room and think, oh, well, actually, this crowd wants me to go in this direction or that direction?
I will usually, maybe, it's funny, maybe like 15 minutes before the set starts, I'll say, okay, this is what I'm going to play first.
Right.
And I have a catalog of songs that I would maybe like to cover that night. But depending on how the room goes, I might have to go a different direction. Like if the room is into reggae, I got to play more reggae. If they're into more pop, I have to play more pop, Afro beats, etc. So
Right.
I really have to, read the room, and I'm trying to get them to enjoy themselves, get on the dance floor, and get that one person who's off on the side, get them on the dance floor too. And then I still, I want to play music that I like too. It can't be all about them. So usually I have a rule: 3 songs for them, the crowd, 1 song for me. So you can do 3-1, 3-1. Now sometimes it gets to be 6-1, 7-1, but that's the goal.
Brilliant.
So it's intuitive then, you have an idea of how a set's going to be, and then it's based on. And frankly, if I'm the one guy on the side, if you can get me on, that's your biggest challenge, because I am not a dancer. I am not a dancer. What is there any one tune that just works every single time? There's a law. I'm going to try this. Bang, it works.
I say Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson can work almost every time. Prince can work a lot too. Michael Jackson, Prince, those are like the throwbacks.
Yeah.
Depending on where you are, say for example, if I'm in like Los Angeles, then like Kendrick Lamar, that will work almost every time because he's he's Southern California. I'm sure if I was in Toronto, Drake would work too. If I'm in DC, we have a genre of music called go-go music that will work also. So it really depends on where you are and who's in the crowd. Also the age range of the people. If the people are like, say, between like 38 and 50, 55, then you put on a throwback like Poison by Belle Biv DeVoe. People know that song. They come on the dance floor. You can also do some line dances. Sometimes if you kind of mix it in right, maybe even Sweet Caroline. Different songs can work sing-along. So it just depends on who's there and where you are.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I like it. I mean, in terms of that kind of music then, Michael Jackson, my daughter, she's 9 years old, absolutely loves Michael Jackson. What is it? What is it about his, don't get me wrong, his dancing is phenomenal as being an entertainer, but his music, what is it about his music that just sucks people in every time?
It's everything. It's the production, it's the singing, it's the lyrics, it's how they use the chord changes. Like he's one of one. And so just his music is timeless because like you said, your daughter likes it. She's young. You might like it. Then you have your grandparents who like it. Like he's crossed over so many different eras, decades, genres, and he's timeless. So if you put on a song, pretty much everyone in the crowd is going to know that song, and they're going to know the words and know the dance. And it could be anywhere in the world. That's why he's like, it's international. It's just nothing we've ever seen like that before. And you can play a whole 4 or 5 hours of just his music or music that's related to him, and people know the music and dance, and it's magical. So we have to use that to our advantage as DJs.
Wow, nice. I'm just thinking of a couple of DJs that that we I say clubs that I've been to, and back in the day, I mean, I was never really a sort of massive club scene guy, but you'd go there and they drop the odd beat here or there, and you'd be dancing along. But I've also been to a couple of places where, wow, that must have been hard work for the DJ, I think, because literally, like, that guy earned his money that night. So have you ever sort of had that where you're like, literally, like you mentioned trying to get that one guy up? Have you ever had it where you've had to try and get like 100 guys up because nobody is giving you anything back?
Yes, that happens. You have to try what you can. You have to figure out what genre of music works for them, what songs. You can keep trying. And sometimes it doesn't work, but you can't take it personally. It's not you. And you just have to keep trying, and hopefully something works. Maybe it could be nights where the dance floor just wasn't active, and you just have to pack it up and try again the next time. So usually I have something in my catalog that can work and try to build off of. Usually there have been times where just nothing worked, and you just like, I tried.
Hey, give me my money. I tried, but hey,
exactly. I'll see you next week.
Exactly.
Yeah, even Messi doesn't score every game, but God bless him.
Yes.
So in terms of music, then for yourself, you mentioned artists there at the start. Tell us what really sort of sucked you in and really helped you build your relationship with music.
My dad exposed me to Kool and the Gang very early on. That's one of my favorite groups, classic Kool and the Gang, Earth, Wind and Fire, because I come from like I love R&B music. So Earth, Wind and Fire, Michael Jackson, Rick James. Rick James was one of my first 45s, little circle records that I had. So he comes to mind, Frankie Beverly and Maze. And then, as I got a little older, I got into different genres like Nirvana. I like that. I like freestyle music, Brenda K-Star, Lisa and the Cult Jam. So and then hip hop, Eric B and Rakim, Run DMC, UTFO. So I really started with like R&B. Then I started to kind of like some pop music, Mariah Carey. I'm a big Mariah Carey fan. Then hip hop, the little rock. As I got older, that's when I got exposed to more Latin music. First it was maybe Selena, and then I'm trying to think of some other Arcelia Cruz, Mark Anthony. So that was the Latin music, and then recently it's been like Afro beats and Amapiano.
Right. Yeah. Wow.
I've been and stood on Selena's bridge in San Antonio there, that famous bridge where she was on. God bless her. Yeah. I'm not a big fan of Latin music or what have you, but I will say this, as a middle-class white man in England, obviously I profoundly fell in love with rap and hip-hop during that time because for whatever reason, I think it was that rebellious streak that we all went through. I would just be curious to find out what Gaz's first single was that he bought.
Oh my days. No,
I can tell you mine.
I don't even know what it would be. It might have been like, I don't think it was a single. I think it was an album, and I suspect it was probably, I want to say Queen because I love Queen growing up, and I want to say that, but actually it might have been Billy Joel, if I'm honest. I love Billy Joel, by the way, and I think he's incredible singer, songwriter. I love his music. So maybe it was Billy Joel. I actually don't remember. I mean, I'm 53 now, and my memory's going, sort of thing. I don't remember the first one that I bought, but I suspect it was probably Queen or Billy Joel. Let's go with that.
Okay.
Mine was Suddenly by Billy Ocean.
Oh, good song. That's a good. I'm partial to love songs. Suddenly is a great ballad. So I like it.
It.
Nice. Yeah. I don't know what it was that attracted me to that song, but yeah, it is a pretty good song. But
Billy Ocean.
I don't know. Maybe about 10 when I bought it. I'm not sure.
Because he didn't Billy Ocean also have like Nights or something like that? I forget. But keep going. I'll think of Billy Ocean. Go on. Yes.
That's fine. Yeah, I'm just wondering. What is it that makes a good DJ then? There must be a certain skill because it's something that I like music. Gaz likes some music. And
no, I like music, just not the same music you like.
That was it. Yeah. So we like different types of music. I'm not suggesting for 1 second that we would make a good DJ. So what is it? What is it that makes a good DJ?
A good DJ. A good DJ is someone who can read the room. That's the skill. Someone who can read the room and be able to play to the crowd that's in front of them. Someone who, kind of checks their ego at the door. And it's not about them. It's about the crowd that's with them. Someone who has good musical knowledge, is able to play songs from different eras and tie them together and tell a story through the music that's playing. Someone who's able to take people through a journey throughout the set. Like you start at a certain tempo, you kind of go up and you go down, and you want to just take people on a musical journey and have the ability to pull songs from different eras and different genres to tell that story. Someone who loves music, someone who understands and has their ear on the pulse of what's new and what's happening. Someone who's not afraid to take risks. It's a risk to play a song that's new when not many people have heard of it, but you feel it's good. Take risks because you can see what's good. And then someone who listens. Like some of my biggest learnings have come from requests. And, generally speaking, DJs don't like requests, but I'll always listen because I can find out what people are wanting before it gets to be hot. Yeah. So I think those are some components of what makes a good DJ, and just the ability to come back. Just how you said, like if you have a set where you just aren't able to get the crowd, like you don't let that get you down. You come back next week and you have an even better set. Those are the things that make a good DJ.
Wow. And just picking up on one of the things you said there in terms of sort of requests, and DJs don't really look like requests. When I'm out and there's a DJ on and I've had particularly lots to drink, I just go and pester the DJ and I'm like, can you play this? Can you play this? Can you play this? Have you got this? And they must be the sick of the sight of me. Genuinely, I must be that annoying sort of wasp person who just keep buzzing around. Do you generally just go, no, piss off in the nicest way, or do you actually genuinely like listen to what they want? Because what they might want might not be what the other 150 people want, sort of thing. So how do you politely let them down and say, well, I'll see if I've got it type thing? And but in your mind, you're thinking, no, just go away, please.
Yeah. I'll see if I have it. I'll try. But if they request the song and it fits, I'll be like, okay, I think I can work that in. Okay. Now, if you come to the DJ and then you have like, whether it be £100 or $100, and you're just like, oh, can you play this? I might be more apt to do some research and look a little harder for it, So, if you're going to pay me somebody and give a good tip, I might think about it. If it fits, it has to fit still. Yes.
Yeah, fair play. And just for the record, guys, yes, you do pester the DJ.
I do pester the DJ a lot. Yeah.
Your music.
Yeah. Well, if you're going to pester the DJ, make sure you come with some money with you.
Yeah, I don't do that very often.
I remember. Funny, it's just reminding me. There was a bar in Vegas that I was in, and I think it was a piano bar. Might have been New York, and that's one thing they were doing. They were tipping to get their song played next.
Wow!
And I thought that how different that is, because obviously in the UK we don't tip. That ain't a thing. We don't hand over our money so freely. Whereas in the States, it blew my mind. Literally, like some guys are offering up $100 to have the song played.
Wow!
Like, wow, that is incredible. I'm in the wrong business. So, how much has technology changed, and how much has that influenced your job?
Oh man, technology, it changes. It seems like it changes every day, but it's changed a lot. I grew up first. I learned how to DJ playing on turntables, records. Records is how I learned, and then I also learned at the same time on the computer. So that's how I learned. Now, there's changes where you can DJ and play the music videos. You can DJ now, and you can actually pull songs from online through certain services like Beatport and stream it and get it onto your turntables to play and adjust and scratch. That's probably pretty new. And then now you start to see small little infiltrations like AI and things like that, but not too much. Now you're able to kind of drop out automatically. You can drop out and get the a cappella version of a song from using stems and drop a different instrumental behind it. It takes up a little space on your computer, but you can do that. There's all sorts of effects and things. So the technology continues to change very quickly. So you have to stay up on that. But technology is still not going to help you yet be able to read a room and be able to do things like that. That's more of a human thing. Like technology can take you so far, but you still have to learn the music. You still have to figure out whether it's got an 8-bar intro, whether it's a good time to mix into the bridge, whether or not you want to bring this song in with an a cappella beginning. That still takes practice. That still takes research and work. So, but technology is moving quickly. Yes.
And how long would it take you then, in terms of through the use of technology and possibly sort of prior to technology, how long would it take you to sort of prep your set then for you to do your research, to think, well, I want to start with this and I want to go here? Is it a feel thing for you almost on the night? I mean, you mentioned that you had, a number of songs that you would try to go to, but how long would it take you to prep?
With the technology, you need less time to prep, but also you have access to more songs. Without the technology, I'm thinking if you just had like a vinyl set you were doing, you pretty much have those vinyls you have with you that you have to play. So you kind of know your music probably a little bit better. You know where you're going to go. So it's a little limited, but you still have to prep more. So if that makes sense, like with technology, you have to prep a lot because you have more songs. If you have less songs, you still need to know your songs even better because you're going to have to use them even more different ways.
Right.
So it's kind of like a yin and a yang for that.
Okay.
Do you foresee a time then when AI can step in and take the human element away, or do you think it's always going to require that human element?
I think if you want someone who can read a room, and you want someone who's going to be able to tell a story and be able to get you, the person who's standing by the bar, won't get on the dance floor and get you on there, I don't see how AI is going to be able to do that. AI can probably be good for like if you want to, 50 or 60%, but for the other 30 or 40%, where they might be able to see your heart rate, but even if you have a lower heart rate, what's going to increase it isn't predictable. They don't know. So, you know, you have to kind of go into your bag of tricks and figure it out. I don't think that AI is going to be able to replace that. Now, maybe lots of venues will just use an AI DJ and do that. But I think there's something about a human that's seeing you, seeing how you start to nod your head when we're playing a certain song, and they're going to kind of go that route. That's something very subtle that takes a lot of skill that I don't think AI can pick up on. Now, I might be wrong, but I still think there's room for, like, you know, that 10% of the crowd that's not on the floor. A human can get them on the dance floor compared to a computer.
Yeah.
Have you seen DJ X then on Spotify? What do you make of that, just out of interest? It's their new sort of interactive feature where play some of the music that you listen to regularly. It's in your playlists, and it'll build in a few things like, you know, and introduce them as though this is new. This is something we think you'll enjoy.
Yeah, that is interesting, but we have to remember that you might not have ever heard Selena, but then, and so that would never show up in your algorithm. But then when someone plays that randomly, or human plays that randomly, you're like, oh my gosh, I love this song. And I've never heard it before, and it would have never come into your algorithm. So the ability and the skill for DJs to play music that you never heard before and would never consider listening to, yet you start to like it, I think that's where that kind of DJ X kind of will miss that the beauty of that, because that's how we discover songs that we've never listened to before. What's an example? A country song, Sugarland, Stay. I would have never, ever known that song, but that's an amazing love song that someone shared with me. Those are the kind of examples that I kind of look to that the DJ X won't be able to do.
Yeah.
Interesting. So in terms of, I mean, DJing, like, as we said at the very start there, is not the only string to your bow. So, I mean, tell us about the university lecturing side of things. I mean, that's taking what seems like a very fun aspect of life in terms of DJing, going out partying and enjoying yourself, to something that seems quite serious and very educational.
It is very serious. It is, and I love it. I love teaching. I grew up the son of a professor, so I never wanted to teach. I never wanted to teach at college level, but somehow, some way, I ended up being a professor, and I love it. And so as a DJ, first of all, the students are like, ooh, it's different. They've never had a professor who's like a professional DJ, because sometimes I have to travel and teach remotely as I'm DJing. So I'll actually be on Zoom, be like, hey, you know, I'm in Toronto, Canada DJing today. And I send them pictures and videos so they can see. So they really love that, because it's like they're part of the experience. But then we come back to class, I'm teaching them about the music business. Like, this is what happened. This is what I've experienced. I get them guests, so they get to meet other people in the industry and learn from them. Of course, I teach them. Then they get to see people that went to the university and took my class that are now working in the music industry come back and visit. They love that. That's the best. So I'm able to show them that even though I'm a DJ, like, I can teach too, and I'm good, and I can help you learn. So I think that allows them to maybe respect me even more, and it just makes it memorable. But it's serious, and I gotta do a lot of work, but I love it.
Right. And wait, when you lecture, then is it lecturing basically about the music industry and the different sort of aspects of the music industry? I'm assuming that you're not lecturing on how to DJ, you're just lecturing them on actually the music industry and how to get a step ahead, and whether it's the business aspect of it in terms of the finances or the money or anything else. Is that more what it is that you lecture on?
Yes. So like the royalties, the different types of royalties, copyright law, how to plan a tour, marketing, all the fan direct platforms, everything like that. Now, I will DJ for my class. Sometimes we'll have classes that are virtual, and I'll start off the class DJing from my home studio so they can see that I know how to throw down, and they love that too. But then I show them, I say, okay, this is the equipment I'm using. And this is the equipment that I advise artists that I manage to get so that they can create their own streams at home. So I'll still tie it in also. But they like that. That's fun. I usually surprise them. I don't tell them, so I surprise them. And but yeah, it's all about the music industry, what's changing. And so my goal is that they are prepared when they graduate to go work for a label, a touring company, Live Nation, whomever, publishing. We talk about music publishing, which is like a whole different story, so that they can go out and work for these companies and be able to hit the ground running. That's my goal.
Wow. You will be the cool teacher. You would be the guy that everybody would be like, I want his class. I'm going to see that because that guy's cool.
This guy's a teacher.
I love it.
So if he starts busting out a DJ set on Monday, I'd pay to see.
Yeah, I wasn't one of the cool teachers, but you definitely would be one of the cool teachers.
How transferable then are your skills from a DJ? If you're having to read a room, surely that plays a part in educating people as well.
Absolutely. Yes, that's a great question. Like reading a room, reading a club dance floor is very similar to reading a classroom, because you'll have students in there. They'll have this. There's more than one actually that are just on their phone. They're not really engaged or whatever. So how can you draw them in? You'll also have students that maybe they do better by visual learning. They hear, it just takes them a long time, or reading, it doesn't work. So what can you do to meet them where they are in terms of having some content in the class that's visual that they can learn? That's very similar to like changing genres on a set. Like maybe they don't like hip hop, but they like rock. Same thing. Like you have to figure out what people like so you can meet them where they are and bring them into the experience. And so it's very similar. Being a teacher has helped me improve how I read a room. 100%.
Yes.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, interesting. So in terms of reading the room, then, do you find you take anything away from your students? Do you learn from them?
Like when you say take anything away, what do you mean? Tell me what you mean.
In terms of like when you sat down with a group of people, you're always going to have a whole different bunch of perspectives. Does anybody bring something to you that you think, actually, do you know, I've never actually thought about that in that way before?
So yes, 2 times. I'll give you an example of the dance floor, and then I'll give you an example reading the room, and then in the classroom. So I remember one time I was playing. What was I playing? I was playing Notorious B.I.G. Juicy, and someone came up and made a request without any money, by the way. And they said, you should play Lauryn Hill, Killing Me Softly. It works. I said, okay, I'll think about it. And it's in kind of the similar BPM range. So I said, I can make it work. Let's try it. I tried it. And if you know the song, you know how it goes. And you get to like the bridge, where she's like, whoa. So I cut the volume when I played the bridge, and the entire place was singing along. I said, aha, that works. It works. Yeah. So I add that to like my little bag of tricks or whatever. Then if you think about like the classroom, I remember I was teaching the students about kind of how to do a math problem. And one student said, well, have you thought about maybe sharing it with us and cutting it up into thirds? Say, do this part first, then do this part second, then do this part third, because it will help us learn it and remember it. And I said, you're right. So that was one example. And then I teach about music marketing. And I remember I was talking to the students, and I said, are any of you fans of Edgar Allan Poe? And then some people said, oh, yes, me. I said, what's your favorite novel or story by Edgar Allan Poe? And they say, The Raven. I said, okay, when we think about music marketing, how to market musicians, I want you to think about Edgar Allan Poe. The P will be you have paid marketing. The O will be you have owned marketing. And the E is earned. Earned is if they write an article about you in a magazine, word of mouth. Owned is properties that you own, your website, your email list. And paid is when you're paying for like Google ads and billboards. So that sticks. You know it sticks when you give an exam, you ask a question, and the student's like, oh, I remember this, Edgar Allan Poe, paid, owned, earned. And they write that on the exam. That's how you know it sticks.
Yeah, wow, incredible.
That's a good little tip. It's probably something that I suspect every time I hear Edgar Allan Poe's name now, I'll be thinking about.
Yes, that's good. Mission accomplished.
Amen. Yeah, amen. Yeah. So in terms of your teaching, then, what I mean, obviously it prepares you for a career in the music industry. I mean, what are the elements that you learn, and what are the different aspects that it will also prepare you for? It sounds, I mean, because it's a fairly diverse industry, isn't it?
Yeah. It'll teach you. First, we've covered your royalties. So I'm not sure what the PRO, the Performance Rights Organization, is over in the UK. In America, we have BMI, we have CSAC, we have ASCAP, and we have GMR. So those are who's going to pay you when your song is played publicly. Right. So that's a concept that people don't understand or realize. So that's the first thing. Then if your song is played on like Sirius XM, iHeartRadio, Digital, Pandora, you need to be with like Sound Exchange so that you get your digital royalties. In addition, say if I'm big here in the US and my song is big in Wales or in London, you need to get your international royalties. So you need to know about your neighboring rights. You need to know about your publishing through Song Trust. So that's one aspect. Then we teach them about how, if your song is on Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, YouTube, we teach them generally how that revenue is calculated first. But in the music industry, there's two sides to a song. You have the physical kind of song composition or the physical part of the song, which is like the MP3, or back in the day, it would be the vinyl record. And then you have the composition side, which is like the melody and the lyrics or whatever. The song recording side is the physical. The song composition side is like the melody, the lyrics, the songwriting, the publishing. So I teach them about there's two sides to a song. And you see, if you own the publishing, if you have your own label, if you're the songwriter, you own more of the pie. So I teach them that concept. So they see, usually people come in, they see, oh, well, Taylor Swift's a good example because she owns almost all sides of the song. So, but people think if you have a hit song, you get all the money. I'm like, no. If you don't have the label, you don't get that portion. If you're just the singer, you only get this small portion. You at least need to be the singer and the songwriter so you get something on both sides. So we talk about that. Then we talk about planning a tour. You're going around domestic tour. You can't go from Chicago, where the Bears are, to Pittsburgh, and then to LA, and then to Miami. You have to go kind of in proper order so you don't wear out your artists, so you don't cross over time zones. And so you have to be smart. Then we talk about the different venues. Are you going to be like a Beyonce or a Taylor Swift in stadiums? Maybe you're like a Miley Cyrus who's in like an arena. Maybe you're at an amphitheater, things like that. So we talk about touring, marketing. We just talked about Edgar Allan Poe. So those are the main copyright, which is so important to know about copyright. So those are kind of the main 5 things that I teach in the class. And then I also teach my clients too, because many, many musicians are unaware of all the things that are involved with.
Wow. I've got 2 questions. I'm fascinated by this, by the way. Absolutely fascinated by it. So I suppose the first question is, and how does an artist know when their song is being played on any particular radio station or digital platform, and how do they get paid for that? Because they haven't got a million agents that are just going, oh, by the way, it was played on iHeartRadio at 3:40 a.m. on Tuesday. You've got to get 20 cents or whatever. How do they know that happens?
Nowadays, it's tracked digitally, so the radio stations, the properties automatically reports. Back in the day, they had to do it more manual, where they had to send in manual reports to say we played this song and that song and everything. Wow. Nowadays, it's more digital, so it's easier to track, but there's more sources, so it's harder to track. Because instead of having main radio back in the day, now you have iHeartRadio, you have Pandora, you have these apps, you have all these streaming platforms that are playing music. It's harder to track. So that's how people know. It's like it's manually tracked. Now, I personally think that I'm trying to think of the term for it, but like you can, I forget the term, but there's a way you can track it even better. I'll think of the term and share with you, but that's how it works now. I'm trying to think of the term. It's like the logistics term where you kind of manage your inventory and things. It's escaping me. I'll think of it though.
Yeah. So if I'm playing a song on Spotify or whatever it may be, so Spotify would automatically report that song has been played, whether it's on my playlist or I've just scrolled through and just gone, there you go, I want to listen to this song. Where does that information get sent? And like, I understand that Spotify can have an algorithm to say we've played this Michael Jackson song 10 times over the last month, or this one once, or this. I understand that, but then where does that go? And how do the representatives of Michael Jackson know to pay his estate that money? That's what I don't understand.
Got it. So first of all, anytime you're streaming a song, it has to be streamed for 30 seconds or more to count as an official stream. Yeah. Once it's streamed for 30 seconds, then it automatically will go up on, like, you have like an artist page. So you have an artist page on like Spotify that shows you this is how many streams you've had. It'll give you, like, say you've had 50,000 streams, and then it'll kind of break it down to where did those streams come from, both geographically, if there's a playlist that's getting you a lot of streams as well. So that's how it kind of automatically goes. So that's how you know what's being streamed, what songs, for how long, and how many streams you're owed. Then on the back end, there's a report that shows you, based on this many streams, this is the amount of revenue that was generated on your behalf. So that's kind of how they have the reporting that they do, and they share. And all the DSPs, the digital service providers, they have them there and they show you the reporting, and that's how you do it. The challenge, though, is that most artists, either they're unaware of how to find the reports, they don't keep track of the reports, so therefore they can't kind of tie it back to them saying, I need to make sure I get my $4 or $5 or $10 or $500.
Yeah.
So it's more just about knowing how to find the reports and following the money.
So if the artists are, let's say, a little bit lax in their paperwork and they haven't filed a report, whatever, I suppose my question is, do Spotify or, I download a song, I play a song, a Queen song or Billy Joel song or whatever. If that artist hasn't filed the correct report or paper, does Spotify almost get that for free then, so they don't pay out because effectively there's nobody to recoup that information or recoup that money?
Okay, great question. What this happens is that this is one thing we teach. The artist has to have the proper metadata embedded into the song so that when it's played, it can go to the proper sources so they can track it. If they don't have the proper metadata, which is like, who's the songwriter? What percentage of the share of the song does the songwriter do? It could be 50, 25, 25. It could be 33 times 3, 50. They have to have the metadata. If the metadata is incorrect, what will happen is that money goes into a pool that's called the black box, and it will sit there for 18 to 24 to 36 months. If it goes unclaimed, then Spotify and that money will get paid to the top 3 record labels. So it's like a revenue source for the label. If you Google black box revenue, you'll see tons of videos and articles about it, because if it goes unclaimed, it goes to the record labels in terms of the market share. The one with the top market share gets the most, et cetera, et cetera. It's a big issue. That's why it's so important for artists to have your proper metadata. So when your song is played, you're getting the proper credit. Because if you don't have the proper metadata, there's a problem and you won't get your money.
Right. Yeah. And in terms of the money, obviously it's all sort of digital stuff. I'm not talking like actual cash and stuff. But so would Spotify and other providers are available, obviously, but Apple Play, Google Play, and all of that. So, but would Spotify? Did they have like a huge big database? American, their database. So, do they have a huge big like database of all of the different contacts for all of the different people? I'm still can't understand how all of those thousands and thousands and thousands of artists, they might have the correct metadata, but how do they get like a signal? Does it automatically get paid into like a reciprocal account? Where does the transfer of money go, I suppose, is my line of questioning, because I'm struggling to see where that might go, if that makes sense.
So it will go like, if the metadata is correct, it will go into an account that is attributed to the proper artist. It's more so Spotify is expecting the artist to have all the paperwork done through their distributor, like a DistroKid or a TuneCore. So if you have everything uploaded properly through that, then it'll go to the proper person. If there's something that doesn't match, Spotify's like, oh, my hands are off. I don't know. You need to figure this out. Otherwise, it's going to go to the black box. So they kind of keep their hands off. So that's why the artist must have their information tight and accurate, so there's no excuses. The money goes to their account, and then it's deducted as it should. And usually, most artists will do that through their distributor. So you have to have, as soon as you upload a song through Spotify or through DistroKid, TuneCore, CD Baby, you got to make sure everything is correct, because that's the foundation. And from there, that's where your money's going to flow to.
Okay.
Otherwise, Spotify's like, we don't know. Figure it out.
Wow.
One of the things we learned last week then on episode 344, we were joined by Mark, I'm going to pronounce his name wrong because I pronounce everybody's name wrong, Roberts from the band Prospect Hill. He was the drummer and he was a songwriter. So, he takes a lot of the funding from that. One of the things we discussed there with him is, obviously, I was under the impression that these streaming services are killing the music industry. And actually, one of the things he said was, do you know what? It's not as bad as we're made out to believe. Yes, the funding isn't what it was, but it is a little bit more instantaneous. So they do have a constant revenue flow from when they're being paid regularly from their music being listened to on Spotify. Is that the case for everybody, or is Mark just fortunate in that respect?
I would say he might be a little fortunate. I view streaming as more marketing than a revenue source. Okay. Only the top 1 to 2 to 3% will really get substantial revenue from streaming, because it's just the numbers and the breakdown is so low. I view it as you really you want to use that to get people's attention, get them into your universe, your ecosystem, get their email address, and get them to buy directly from you or through a Patreon or through Bandcamp. I think for the overwhelming majority of artists, you're not going to make a lot of money off of streaming. The big artists will, because they have hundreds of millions of billions of streams, so that will happen. Yeah. But the mid-tier and the indies, it's not a lot of money yet. It takes time to build up. And you could get some money, but you need to tour on top of that. You need to have a direct fan to artist platform. You need to have songwriting royalties that are coming in, writing for other artists, etc. You really have to build like a nice machine to have a substantial income.
Wow. Well, funnily enough, that is exactly what he's done. He's in the business of marketing that out to people. So, he's a fairly astute fellow. So in terms of that then, engagement, getting the email address, getting that direct contact with fans, that CRM, that's really, really important, isn't it, for an artist?
I personally think, and we go back and forth healthily, I think growing your email list is more important than growing the number of followers you have on these platforms. I think the followers, that's like a vanity metric. It's like secondary. I will say, though, that YouTube is a platform where you should invest time in to grow your subscribers and put content up there. But remember, let's go back to Edgar Allan Poe. The O is owned media. You want to own your email list. You own your website. So if you have an artist, what can you put on your website so that when people visit it, you offer them an acoustic version of a song in exchange for their email address? And then you start to talk to them directly about your tour, etc. In addition, we're so used to the last 25 or 30 years of people Googling to find out information about people, places, and things. Now it's getting to a point where people are using Claude, ChatGPT as their search engines. And they are not crawling social media platforms to get information. They are crawling websites, podcasts like this, they're calling all that. So you really need to have a strong web presence so that when I'm typing in what's the best rock group that performs in Pittsburgh regularly on my Claude, it's going to show up with all these recommendations. So instead of SEO, we're all familiar with that, search engine optimization. I think they call it like AIEO or GEO. I don't know what the G stands for, but you need to have that type too. And that's something new that artists maybe don't realize, but you need to show up for these large language models so that when people are searching, they're going to find you and recommend you. It's going to replace eventually SEO and people Googling.
Wow.
It's a changing world.
It is. And back in the day, I mean, however many, 35 years ago when we were at school and stuff, and both myself and Adam, we did.
That was when the music that he listened to was current.
And we did sort of marketing and stuff, and you go back to your product, your place, your price, and all of your principles about that. And just listening to you talk there, it's just a wildly different universe that we live in now. And for a couple of old dinosaurs like us, it's a little bit frightening, if I'm honest, just because these young pups and stuff. And I suppose you'll get it in your class. These the young, I'm assuming, sort of performers, entertainers, people that want to make it in the industry and stuff are learning from you, and just the ever-changing nature of what it is that you need to stay abreast of in order to then teach them is incredible. And whether it's the same in America, I'm pretty sure it will be. If you go on a 3-year university course, by the time you get to your 3rd year, whatever you learned in the 1st year is now outdated. So and that is just, as I say, for a couple of old fossils like us, that's frightening, absolutely frightening.
Yeah. The foundation will still be the same, 2 sides of a song, etc. But a lot of the details, like, it's very new. Like, my class in 2026 is very different than how it was in 2023 for some aspects. Now, the concept of touring and all that is similar, but the AI implementation, the royalties, the new platforms that are up, then when you have legal decisions, new laws that come out, you have to change, because that changes things. So you just have to, like, I'm forever a student. I'm always learning about the music. So I can take what I'm learning and bring it back to my students. And, I have to learn over the summer so I can change things and make things relevant. And I owe that to my students so they can be best prepared. And that's the beauty of, like, working with people on a consistent basis, because as things change, I can share it with them. I mean, there's so much that's going on, whether it be different ways to market, like even 3 years ago, some of these, like TikTok was big 3 years ago. It's even bigger now in terms of breaking an artist. But where the challenge is that if an artist goes viral or breaks on TikTok, Do you have a catalog of songs you can sing at a tour, at a venue? Do you have a website? Do you have these things set up so you can release new music and keep it going? The world of sync, which is placing music into TV shows, commercials, films, video games, that's evolved very quickly too. So what are you doing to kind of address that and go after that? So you're correct. That's my long answer saying you are correct.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of, I don't know why he keeps, putting me in the same bracket as him. I'm younger than he is. So
hold on. When's your 53rd birthday?
It's 13 days.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So he always holds it to me. I'm basically 2 weeks older than him. That is it. And he keeps saying, "Oh, you're an old man now." It's like, yeah, whatever.
For these 2 weeks, I'm a year younger than him.
Well, happy early birthday. Happy early birthday.
So one of the other things we want to talk to you about as well, because you're clearly a very, very busy man, but you've written a couple of books. Like I say, I bought one of them here. I have it here on Kindle. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that? Because both Gaz and I are interested in the idea of writing a book. I've started a couple of times and failed. So I'd be interested to hear, first of all, about your books and the process in terms of writing them.
Yes. And feel free to ask any questions about the process because it is a doozy. So my most recent book is called The Quiet Storm. I'll show you the cover here. It's like a historical and cultural analysis of the power, passion, and pain of R&B groups. I took my thesis when I went to grad school and turned it into a book, and it examines the history of R&B groups from the 1950s till the mid-2000s. You have groups in there like the Temptations, the Supremes, the Jackson 5, the Commodores, Jodeci, New Edition, SWV, all the way, Destiny's Child, all the way up to the mid-2000s. And then if you remember, right around 2004, 2005, when Destiny's Child went solo, R&B groups pretty much disappeared from the mainstream. From dominating the Billboard charts, the main charts for over 6 decades, all of a sudden they kind of dropped and disappeared. So I talk about what happened, why did they disappear, and what's going to happen next. And that's what the book's about. You have it there. It took a lot of time to do the research. I outline how well each group did. We picked the groups based on 4 things: their Billboard Hot 100 hits, Grammy nominations and wins, record sales, and then notable performances. And so that's how they're all ranked. I go through each group to all their top 100 hits. As you see the charts there, very graphic. There's rare pictures in the book from groups that haven't been seen before. And that's the whole book.
Wow.
Impressive.
Wow.
So in terms of those, what did you learn, just out of interest? What did you learn while you're researching it?
I learned the impact is particularly in the United States. There's this law that was called the Telecommunications Act of 1996. It was supposed to diversify radio, but 3 companies bought up radio stations and went to playlisting formats. So you could be in Chicago, you could be in Las Vegas, Miami, New York. You're generally going to hear the same songs on the radio many times a day. And that's because of the advertisements and etc. What that caused is that you'd have groups that would be big in certain cities in the country. That's how they would grow first, whether it be Boyz II Men in Philadelphia, TLC in Atlanta, all the groups that came from Detroit, Motown, Destiny's Child in Houston, and they would grow nationally from there. From their cities, they'd grow nationally. That took away a lot of that impact because it was just playlisted. They didn't have a lot of local acts on the radio, so they made it very corporate. Then also, we had a lot of media outlets. This again goes back to Edgar Allan Poe. This is earned media because then you had like Vibe magazine, Ebony magazine, Essence magazine, Jet. They would promote these artists without having them pay. And so they go from over 8 million monthly subscribers. They all pretty much disappear. Essence is still around quarterly. That's a lot of earned media that is lost. So that's another reason. And so it just goes through different reasons like that. And then we talk about what could happen in the future.
Wow. And what could happen in the future?
Well, I think you're going to start to see groups similar to like you have Silk Sonic. You have Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak. They're already established, successful artists. They come together to form a group, produce platinum records, Grammy-winning music, and so they come together already established. Whereas in the past, you had like the Supremes, and then Diana Ross came from the Supremes. Yeah. You had New Edition, but then Bobby Brown came from New Edition. You had Jackson 5. Michael Jackson came from Jackson 5. I think it's going to be in reverse, where you could have artists like, I love to use like Leela James, SZA, her, and maybe Kehlani. They come together to form a supergroup, perform, release music, all that, and then maybe they do their solo things at the same time.
Wow. I was just going to say, so you would look at almost like your supergroup, your collaborations, where it's like, I say Eminem featuring or Jay-Z featuring or whatever, whereas actually you feel as though they would become marketable as almost a separate entity, so just as a supergroup, and that might be, would that then be a different performing name? Would that then be a different entity as opposed to it's just A performing with B? They actually just become a different entity.
They would become a different entity. It's very similar to how in the early 2000s you had LSG. So it was Gerald Levert, Keith Sweat, Johnny Gill, LSG. You had TGT, Tank, Genuine, and Tyrese. So you have them as individuals, but you create a new name for the entity so it can go. Like Silk Sonic is Anderson .Paak and Bruno Mars, but they created Silk Sonic. So they would create a new entity. So it's kind of like they have two brands, their new band brand, and then they have their personal individual brands also.
Wow.
I'll translate that for guys. Remember the Traveling Wilburys?
Yes. I remember the Traveling Wilburys.
John Petty,
Roy Orbison, George Harrison. Yeah. I remember them. There you go.
We've got him on board.
There you go. And now, in terms of writing the book, though, I would ask you, like, what has stopped you from writing a book? Because I coach authors and I work with authors, and I can share with you my experience, but I'm curious for you, what has kind of caused you to slow down or not get it finished?
It's in it. So the book that I wanted to write, we spoke a little bit at the start about my American lineage, and that lineage was lost, and I managed to track them down, get back in touch with my American family, build a relationship. And actually, Bo, my cousin, was over here just a couple of weeks ago when we traveled from the south of the UK, hit a load of pubs all the way up to Edinburgh over 12 days. It was fantastic. I've been out to Texas to visit him. So, something great has come from something that for all intents and purposes was lost over the years. And there's a little bit of backstory story to it. There's a little bit of a ghost story to it. And I've sat down and I've started writing it a few times. Now, my biggest challenge is it is a very good story. It's a very interesting story. But I will write the first chapter about my granddad and my grandma. My granddad was an American soldier. My grandma was an English soldier, and that's where they met, and that's how things happened. That link was lost, and I've started putting that together so many times. However, I just don't have enough. I just can't pad it out.
Yeah,
excuse me. Yeah, I just can't pad it out.
That's for my I have a whole plot line. So mine will be fiction. So I love Tolkien and I love the fantasy genre and stuff. So sort of Lord of the Rings and stuff. So I love that. So mine is sort of loosely based upon that genre. And I have the characters, I have the plots, I have the cities, I have what I want to happen, and I know the sequence. I've written it out and I've got a basic plot. But similar to Adam, I suppose, it's the time to actually just sit down and write it, because obviously we've got full-time jobs and this, that, and the other. So it's just the time, but it's also the, how do you feel? And that sounds an awful question, but you've got certain things that you want to happen, like key moments in your story, and that this happens, but you can't go straight from that happening to that happening to that happening, because your story would be over in 10 pages or 20 pages. And so how do you develop those subplots, those character backgrounds, the history of the places, the names? It's that I struggle with, because there's no research I can go and do and find, because it's all fiction. So it's all in my own head. And I don't understand how to get from, I know what happens at the start and I know what I want to happen at the end, and I know the 6, 7, 8 main things that I want to happen in the story. I've got all of that. And if you ask me now, I could tell you, but I don't know how to then turn that into a 200-page, 300-page novel.
Yeah. Okay. So first I'll go. So the book that you have about your lineage, I found, based on my experience, that sometimes you can start from the middle and work your way back to the front and to the end. So for example, for me, when I wrote the book, The Quiet Storm, I actually started with the groups that were in the 80s, because that was where I grew up. So I was most familiar with them. Then I went and talked about the groups that were in the 50s because I had no knowledge. So I did something easy, make progress. Then I did something harder, the 50s. Then I came back and did the 90s and the 60s. Then I did the 70s and the 2000s. So it's kind of like I did it backwards. The research was done. So that can help you, because it sounds like you're getting a little stuck at that. So maybe start at the end or the middle and work your way back to the front end. That's something that works. In terms of the fiction, I found that if you write stories within the stories, like you have your 7 or 8 characters and you write stories about each of the characters, you can take little bits of the stories and add them to the front, the middle, of the end of the book that will help give the book life. In addition to the characters, you can write stories and give details about the places in the book. So then you can take little snippets and things of that and give it more life also. So if you cut it up into different little manageable chunks in terms of talking about the characters and their stories, talking about the places, their stories, then you can kind of plug them in and you're going to have a story, and then you can add things into the front of the end of it. So that's just some quick advice, but I mean, that should help you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, because we've done lots of podcasts and we've had sort of people like yourself that are published authors, and we always generally, because it's genuinely an interest that we both have actually independently of each other into, and the content of the books would be independent of each other, but we're both quite fascinated with the idea of actually writing a book. And I've said it for years, if my magic numbers came up and I won the lottery, I didn't have to work full time, and I would write a book, and I've always said that, and I would love to do it. But it's just a time, and it's just then knowing the how to do it is the question. But we've asked the same question like so many times, haven't we?
Yeah.
Well, that was really helpful, and I'm certainly listening to the idea with a fictional story, guys. I don't know about you, that made total sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
What a great way to do it.
Yeah.
What a great
just write lots of different stories and then figure out how they actually fit together, I suppose. I love that. I know, appreciate it. Yeah, thank you.
Of course, yes.
Just time next year, all the royalties will be flooding your.
No, keep it. Free advice. Free advice.
Poe, which is the Poe bit? Do I own that bit then, or is that your bit? I can't remember.
If that's one of the characters in his book, sue him.
Okay.
But no, in all seriousness, if I get it done, I'll definitely drop you a mention there as a thank you somewhere along the line. But it's something. It is something that I'm really, really keen on doing. So your journey, then, obviously, you turned that from what a university dissertation, and those things are pretty weighty and very difficult to write anyway, and they've got to be very, very precise. And you got that into a published book. In terms of R&B, then, is it? Like you say, it's developing, it's changing. You've got the super groups or what have you, but it's still around, and it's still just as prevalent today, is it, as it was back in the 70s and what have you?
Absolutely. Just think about a lot of the popular music that you hear today is interpolated music from back then, or they sample it. For example, Bruno Mars, Uptown Funk. They're interpolating "Oops Upside Your Head" by the Gap Band. You hear samples from all these artists. They're sampling R&B music from back in the day. Even rock music, pop, they're sampling R&B music. So it's still around. I always cringe when people are like it's dead. It's not dead. It's just different now. Now the groups, we do need to figure out what's going on with the groups because they're not around. But the music is still there. It's still the very foundation of most of popular music comes from R&B music. And so that's just how it is. It's just different.
Yeah. Well, one question I'm dying to ask you in a way is, and you might not have had it yet, I think, trying to interpret sort of how long you've been sort of lecturing and being a professor and stuff, because you mentioned about getting people and bringing guests into your sort of lecture hall and theatre and students learning from. Have you, in terms of sort of an alumni as such, have you lectured somebody that's then gone on to be quite a serious performer? Have you had that yet, where you can go, like, you look and you go like, oh wow, like I was a tiny fragment of their success or career? Have you had that yet, or are you still waiting for that? No, I was part of that.
Yeah, I think that's going to happen soon. Almost. I would say almost. We're almost there.
Wow.
I have had some people graduate that have very, very good positions with like CAA, Creative Artist Agency.
Yeah.
Like I have a student who works there who's like doing really well. So that absolutely. I had someone else. She works for a music sync company, music publishing company. So yes, in terms of a mega star or a star, almost. We're not there yet. Soon though. Soon. I think it's going to happen soon.
I'm dying to ask who it is now, so we can get ahead of the curve. But I won't. But I'm just really curious because I'm fascinated by the people that come into your lectures, and I suspect that some will come from a business point of view, others might be more performing artists and how trying to understand how they get into the industry. So I'm fascinated in the next sort of year, 2 years, 3 years, whether or not there is that breakout artist, and you go, yeah, I played a tiny little part in that, tiny little role in that. So I'm just curious as to that, and I hope it happens for whoever it may be that you're talking about. I genuinely do.
Yeah, me too.
What's next for you, just out of interest then? What's your next big plans?
I think for me, like continuing to coach and work with artists is high on the priority list, and then taking that book and turning it into a trivia game. I think that's kind of another project I have, to turn that into a trivia game. And then 3 or 4 years later, I want to turn the book into a documentary. So that's kind of the long-term plan. Trivia game, then documentary. I have to get someone like that's really real connected in like Hollywood to make that happen. So I'm working on that. But in the short term, it's turning into a trivia game.
Wow. That's a great idea.
Yeah. I mean, everybody loves a quiz. Everybody loves a music quiz. Everybody loves a spot the intro round, who's who, and so and that will never ever get old. And the documentary, would it be the history of R&B? Is that what is that the slant it would be, sort of thing?
The documentary really focused on the groups, the group aspect, the groups, like what happened to them. Hopefully we get some rare footage, the sooner the better, so we can interview some people who maybe were with groups way back in the day before they leave us. So that's the urgency behind it. So yes, it would be all about the groups. Yeah. Man.
Well, listen, I hope your game is more successful than the one that we attempted to make. Come at me, bro. Which failed dismally and right.
Yeah. We did pitch it to a couple of sort of board games, sort of, I say, publishers as such, but yeah, we didn't get very far, put it like that.
yeah, it's hard. So I'm going through the process now, so we'll see.
Listen, it's their loss.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
It's not, it's ours. But in all seriousness, we normally wrap these things up round about the hour mark. So we can't let you go without letting you share a few links where the good folks at home can contact you, find you, and see the good things that you have to offer. And what we'll do, we'll add those into the show notes of our audio episodes, because those are where people really interact with us. Mm-hmm. We haven't followed your advice. We're terrible on YouTube. Nobody watches us, but I'm pleased to say 129 countries do tune in and
there
listen
you go.
To what we're putting out. So that's good enough for us.
Perfect.
Yeah. So give us some links.
Okay, so if you're an artist, prefer a musician, and anything that I've said is resonating, you want to talk, AmaniExperience.com/call. You can set up a free call with me. I'll get on the phone or the Zoom. We can talk about your music, how we can best monetize it, and we can see about potentially working together. Also, authors can do the same thing. I work with musicians and authors, and I just love to help and educate and let you make the best decisions possible for me. And that's my website, AmaniExperience.com. On the socials, I'm at Amani Experience. And if you're on LinkedIn, my government name is Amani Roberts. You can find me there.
Brilliant. Thank you. If anybody's listening to this episode, you're giving two guys here some very, very good advice around the books that they're thinking about writing. That is actually really valuable, because especially, the advice you gave me in terms of the book that I want to write is actually my story joins into it round about the middle. So that's the bit I know. So that would be a great bit for me to start writing.
Yes.
Actually, the bits before then, I can fill in once I've got those sections. It will tie into the bit that I've already written. So that's absolutely fantastic. And in terms of gas, that was some pretty good advice for you as well, wasn't it?
No, absolutely. And it sort of makes sense, because you sort of get stuck between the plot, but actually just writing little stories about all the different places, people that almost become a subplot. You can then just cherry pick and decide where that fits and how then it all fits together. So yeah, absolutely. Appreciate the advice, and hopefully, genuinely, hopefully one day I get to write it, and yeah, there'll be a little sort of acknowledgement in there for your good self. So yeah, fingers crossed.
All right, I'm with you. Yes.
Anything you want to ask us before we let him go?
No, I've been fascinated. I say I genuinely love the episode. I've loved just talking about just the processes and also the behind the scenes stuff that people genuinely need to understand and need to learn. And I do genuinely get the sort of the impression, Amani is passionate about supporting and helping people to achieve whatever it is that they want to achieve. So, I think the final thing for me is just a big thank you for giving up your time to talk to us, dispense some good advice that, to myself and Beans, and hopefully, some of our listeners can sort of hit you up and hopefully some good things happen in the future.
Love it. Yes. Thank you very much for having me. It's been fun.
No, I'm glad you've enjoyed it. And it just leaves it to me then to say thank you very much for joining us. you can go and enjoy that 105 degrees weather out there in Vegas you're experiencing right now. I'm not jealous. I'm not jealous at all. But yeah, you go enjoy that. And we will say thank you very much. And we will be back next week when we will be talking about something entirely different altogether. Take care.
Friends around the mic, kicking back, all right. Day turns into night, podcast in the spotlight. Sipping on that brew, talking all